Well, next tonight we're going to hear Chopin's second piano concerto in F minor, played by the French pianist Jean-Yves Thibaudet. He's a regular visitor to the proms, and over the last 5 seasons he's played works by Rachmaninoff, Saint-Saëns and Fauré, both Ravel concertos, and last year he was the pianist in a truly climactic performance of Messiaen's Turangalila Symphony with the BBC Philharmonic. Jean-Yves Thibaudet has made over 20 commercial recordings which very much reflect his eclectic musical taste, ranging from Mendelssohn concertos to jazz by Bill Evans. And his interests off the concert platform are equally diverse, from museums to motor racing. I spoke to him during a break in rehearsals. Most admire when you listen to those pianists you love from the past. I mean, is it the interpretation or is it the technique?
What I admire the most, I think, is the identity and the personality of each of those pianists. It's like you would hear one note, you would say, this is Rubinstein, this is Horowitz. I mean, it's like they had such a personality, and it's like nobody played like them, you know. And now there's very few people I can think of that. I mean, if I hear the radio to say in 2 seconds, this is, you know, Mr. So-and-so, it's not easy, really. I think we lost a little bit of that. Even sometimes if it's shocking, it's like, you know, sometimes I wouldn't like what they're doing, but at least you know it's them. I mean, they have something to say. I think the sound is like the identity card of those pianists. And Rubinstein, I think it would be the poise, the poetry, and the way he was playing Chopin was really special. For me, there's just something about Chopin and Rubinstein that's just unique. Nobody else does the same. And I remember seeing an interview with him in France that was really so beautiful. It was in the winter, he had his big hat, and it was freezing outside probably, and he was in the garden looking at trees and birds, and someone asked him this very simple question: why is Chopin so special to you? What is Chopin about? And he looked and he said, I don't know. He said, Chopin is like, he said, he's speaking to me. There's something, you know, I think there was really something magical between both of them, and he certainly did it. I think the key to his playing is that he does all the rubato and everything you want, but it just sounds so natural. It just sounds improvising. I think that's what I would say. It sounds like he just sits at the piano and improvises a new piece that nobody ever heard before. And I think that's probably the way Chopin was playing himself, and I think he wrote it to be played like that. I mean, you cannot take everything too, you know, it still has to be very free. And they sound so fresh and natural, and he played it, God knows how many years in his life, probably 60 years at that point, and he still sounded like he was just improvising today for you.
I suppose for a lot of people listening to us now, they can imagine that a French horn might sound different played by a Czech or a French player and a British player, say. But with a piano, you press it and it either speaks or it doesn't.
Well, yeah, but it can speak a lot of languages. It's like, you know, if you say a person, it speaks or it doesn't speak, fine, but there's so many languages. So the same with the piano is, it's actually frightening and very, very exciting to see how the same instrument played by different people can be totally different. I happened to play sometime in a hall for a recital the night before someone else played, and at the concert, after the concert, someone would come and tell me, which piano did you play? And I said, well, you know, the piano of the hall. I said, I cannot believe it. Last night, you know, so-and-so played, and I thought it was another instrument. So, I mean, you really make it sound. It's true, it's a percussive instrument, but there's a different way to make it sound.
And that's all to do with touch?
It's absolutely, it's all the touch. It's really beautiful, I think. It's amazing. Just you put your hands on the piano and you make it speak.
Could you give me a little thumbnail sketch of the concerto, what you feel about it, the individual movements?
Well, my favorite one is the second, of course. The second movement, I think, is just, it's a dreamland, really. You're gone. I mean, you're not on the earth anymore. It's really sending you to heaven. Then it's difficult to go back on the earth and play the last movement, which is really difficult, so that's no fun.
And what is it about the second movement that so transports you?
It's just so simple. It's unbelievable. I mean, and that's the most beautiful, I think, example of improvisation, because this movement is really a big improvisation. It should really sound like you start, you don't know exactly where you're going to go, and it's like a thread, you just pull it and it just goes and goes, and it's absolutely remarkable. And it works every time. There's something that's magic, it just works every time.
This evening's soloist, Jean-Yves Thibaudet. The F minor concerto was begun in the autumn of 1829, when Chopin had completed his studies at the Conservatoire in Warsaw. Chopin himself gave its first public performance a few weeks after his 20th birthday. Although described as number 2, it was in fact the first concerto to be written. In the course of Chopin's travels in 1830, the orchestral parts were lost, and this resulted in his second D minor concerto being published first, hence the confusion. Chopin lived just 39 years, and even though he confined himself almost exclusively to writing piano music, he is nevertheless a revolutionary figure. And it's important not to underestimate the position of this F minor concerto, because it's no exaggeration to say that it actually marks the beginning of a long line of romantic concertos spanning the following century, from Chopin through Schumann and Brahms to Tchaikovsky, Rachmaninoff, and beyond.